Hey, how's it going? It's Jocelyn here with the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, where I encourage you to find positivity through changing your thoughts to work for you and not against you. And most of the times it's through small changes in our thoughts that will bring big changes in the long run of our pregnancies and our motherhoods. And I'm here for you. I want to help you out. Today I'm going to try and explain something that was really eye-opening to me. I have actually been wanting to do an episode like this for quite a while, but I keep putting it off, and it's to the point where I just need to try it. And as I do more podcast episodes on the future, I can add on to it and articulate it better and hopefully give you better examples and explain more how this concept really helped me in my motherhood. Today is Friday, if you are listening when this episode comes out, and we are doing our Mindset and Motherhood episode. On Tuesdays, we focus on pregnancy, and I am really excited to have you here. I think about podcasts all the time and things that are going on in my head that I've learned that I want to share. And this is where I get to share them, and I hope that what I have learned and am able to teach you will help in your motherhood. If you think of a mom during this episode who could benefit, will you share this episode with her and tell her about Jocelyn and the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast? So let's get on to the show. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Thanks for joining. I decided to call the title of this episode, Your Kids Don't Make You Happy. So it's kind of always a challenge to find the best wording or the best phrases that will get people to click on your episode. Some phrases just work better, some are more searchable, and I considered doing something about circumstances, but I don't feel like that would relate to my audience. So, your kids don't make you happy, I feel like would relate to the audience and is a good way to kind of break us into this episode. As moms, it would be really nice if our kids could make us happy and if they did make us happy, but that is not the reality. The reality is you are in control of your thoughts, your emotions, and your feelings, and you make you happy. I'm going to give you lots of examples of this little thought model that I learned from Jody Moore on her podcast and tell you how it has helped me in my motherhood. So her little thought model follows the following acronym. I remember it by CTFAR, C-T-F-A-R. The C stands for circumstance. The T stands for thought. F stands for feeling. A stands for action, and R stands for result. You're like, what the heck does that have to do with my motherhood and helping me in my thought processes? Well, that's where I'm going to give you a lot of examples to hopefully help you like I have been helped in this endeavor. So I'm going to go with a basic one that is non-related to kids or family, and that's the weather. The weather is the circumstance. Now, this weather could be rainy. We'll use a rainy example for this scenario. One person could have the thought that this is terrible. Then they start feeling sad. Their actions are they stay inside. And the result is that they're kind of upset. Now, if you look at this on a person who is excited about the rain, so their circumstance is still the rain. Their thought, though, is that they're happy. They're excited it's raining. Their feeling is they're excited. Their action is maybe they're going to cozy up and stay inside and read a book, or maybe they're going to play out in the rain, depending on the person and their desires, but the result is they're happy. So that is a really simple example of how a real life dealing with the weather can affect one person and make it a negative thought process in their mind, and it can affect a different person. It can be a positive thought process. The interesting thing about this is that we get to choose. We have the gift and the agency to choose how we're going to look at things, how we're going to look at the weather, how we're going to look about our kids, how we're going to look at our husband. Sometimes our subconscious wants to go crazy and tell us all the things that we should just naturally believe. So let's move into an example with kids. Let's say that your kids aren't listening. Your subconscious or your untrained mind says that they should listen. So they should listen would be the thought. The feeling is, I am frustrated. The action that I take is I yell. And the result that comes because of that is I feel guilty and upset. So naturally, that's kind of what our minds tend to do. But in motherhood and in training our brains to work for us and not against us, we want to shift some of these thought patterns to be the healthiest and happiest and mentally stable person, the most mentally stable and happy mom that we can be. So instead of thinking, the circumstance still is the same. The circumstance is my kids aren't listening. My thought is, why aren't they listening? Have they had one-on-one time? Are they hungry? Are they tired? The feeling is, what can I do and how can I help them? The action is, you're going to act on that. Maybe if they're hungry, you feed them. Maybe if they're tired, you give them a nap. Maybe if they need some one-on-one time, you sit down with them and read a book. And the result could be you feel a little bit more happy and satisfied in your motherhood. Now, this is very easy for me to just say on a podcast. It's kind of one of those things that's so much easier said than done. Like actually doing this and implementing it when you feel angry and frustrated is really hard. It is so difficult. And the main thing that I want you to do when trying to work through this, when trying to train your brain to go through different thought processes than what automatically comes through them, is to not shame yourself. If you have one of the instances where your kid is not listening and you think they should and you get frustrated and you yell, don't feel guilty about that. Use it as a learning experience. Shame does not serve you. Shame will keep you down and spiraling even down farther. But if you learn that if you use that as a learning experience, you can learn from it. And over time, you can implement these small and simple things to get better at it. So maybe this time you did yell. Look at the situation and consider what you could do next time. Oh, instead of yelling, I would like to breathe first. Oh, instead of yelling, I'm going to try and figure out if there's something else wrong with my kids for the reason they're not listening. And so on and so forth. I have to be completely honest with you. I still yell at my kids. I still have moments where I get completely frustrated and I act out of anger. But overall, this thought process of knowing the circumstances are up to me to decide how I'm going to think and feel about them has been really powerful in my desire to shift the thought processes that I'm going through. I don't have to be subject to them and their emotions. I can choose, because I have agency, what I'm going to think and what I'm going to feel. So let's give another example real quick. I don't want to overwhelm you because I want you to have time to dwell and think upon this. I want you to think of your own examples in your own lives and how this model can work for you and help you in your motherhood. So the next example is maybe your child throws a tantrum. That's the circumstance. Your thought could be, this is terrible. Maybe I shouldn't be a stay-at-home mom. Your feeling is, this sucks. The action is, maybe you sulk on the couch. And the result could be that you hate motherhood. If you kind of tend to look at things that go negative and awry in motherhood, it can be very easy to get on the disliking and loathing motherhood bus. And it could even force you out of the home to find a job, even when maybe you don't need to, but you just can't handle the negative things that happen in motherhood. And there are so many. There are so many negative things with raising children that are hard. That's actually another podcast episode that I want to do, is that raising kids is no joke. It is hard. It is not easy. Being a stay-at-home mom and having to work through all of this is not easy. It is so easy to be overwhelmed, impatient, and frustrated. But we want to practice little by little, line upon line, to get better at managing our thoughts, to breathe before we react, to think about things and how we want to show up. Do we really want to be feeling negative just because our kids are feeling negative? Or do we want to handle the situation appropriately and then move on? So going back to the example with the kids throwing his tantrum, that's your circumstance. Even the thought, maybe if you can't get to the thought, like, this is beautiful. I personally have not been able to find a beautiful thought about a tantrum, but a thought that I have found is I can handle a tantrum and I don't have to let it negatively affect me. That could be the thought. Your feeling could be, I can persevere. This won't last forever. It's just a tantrum. The action could be, I am going to be patient. I am going to wait for them to throw their tantrum, talk to them when they're reasonable, and go from there. Your result is that you feel better about the actions you are taking as a mom. It sounds really great on this podcast, but when you go to implement it, you're going to find it to be difficult. Don't get discouraged. Like I mentioned before, use it as a learning opportunity to say, next time I will. I did a podcast, in fact, on those very 4 words. Next time I will is so powerful in motherhood, in learning these models and applying them through your own agency to create a better motherhood, a better pregnancy, and a better life for you. And as your life gets better, so does your family's. Because the mom is the barometer in the home. Even if you have to work, you are still, most times, the barometer in the home, kind of set the mood in the atmosphere. And if you are working on this, and if you are finding the positive ways to work through these thoughts, it will pay off. I know, because it has paid off for me. I have been practicing this model and these types of things with self-improvement and working with your thoughts and mindset shifting. I've been working on them for years, but I have been able to see the results. Think of how much your life can change within a few years if you just slowly start trying to implement new thought processes that are going to serve you in your motherhood a lot better. I believe in you, and I know that you can do this. Your kids need you, even if they're difficult kids. Even if you feel like you are not a mom that is up to par to raise kids, they need you, not someone else. They need you, and they need you to work with your thoughts to be the person that you want to be. Not only do they need you, but you need you. You need you to find this positivity, to find these mindset shifts, and to work through it. And God needs you. We are all on God's errands, raising His children, and He will help us in this process. He will send you the thoughts and the words and the feelings that will go along with these negative experiences, if I can say it right, that come into your life. Let Him help you. Let those thoughts, those positive thoughts, begin to work. Plant those seeds. If you need help planting the seeds, if it seems a little daunting and very hard to get through, please send me an email. My email address is always found in the show notes. It is still the Meliora Mentor address. I need to get a different one or figure out how to switch that over to positivity in pregnancy and motherhood, but it is still the Meliora Mentor. Send me an email and say, I want some mom coaching. There are a lot of coaches out there, and most of the coaches out there coach for an hour at a time, but not me. I only coach moms for 10 minutes at a time for 5 weeks. So it's 10 minutes one week, 10 minutes the next week, 10 minutes the next week, and so on and so forth. Moms are able to find 10 minutes out of a week to start working on planting these types of mindset seeds that can help you be successful and to enjoy your motherhood so much more. So if you need help with mom coaching, send me an email. I know I've mentioned this before, but I am not very technologically inclined. I am trying to get the calendaring up, but until I figure that part of technology out, please message me. I'd love to help you. I'd love to hold you accountable. I'd love to teach you these tools. They have been pivotal in finding joy in being a stay-at-home mom. You can do this. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.